And okay, I think I'm live. Hi, this is Sue Robotti. Wait, I'm just going to talk, Linda, okay? In case anybody's watching, I'm Sue Robotti. I'm the Executive Director, and I'm with Linda Titus, and we're practicing for our 6 o'clock Facebook Live. So, Linda, you can hear me. Can you find, the video should pop up in a minute. There's like a 5 or an 8-second delay. You should start to see it on the page somewhere in the scroll.
I don't see it yet.
Okay. Make sure you...
So I have typed in DES action, and I think I'm on your page.
Well, it's got our logo, so you should recognize it, right?
This DES action.
Yes. And so...
It's anniversary, yep.
Yeah. And so scroll down. Sometimes it ends up being halfway down the page. I don't know why.
What am I looking for?
You're looking for the live video. It should just be there on your screen. Hi, Hugh Easton. Hugh Easton is watching. Hugh, we are just practicing, Linda, Titus, and I, in preparation for the 6 o'clock Facebook Live. My hair is kind of flipping out here. So if Hugh's on it, then it must be there. So what you want to do, Linda, is just scroll from the very top of the DES action page and scroll all the way down. Hugh, if you had the ability to type in a comment, was it difficult to find this video? Were you on the DES action page and did it pop up? Hi. Linda, tell me when you find it.
I haven't found it. I'm sorry. I've gone down to the bottom where it says see all.
Okay.
And,
Well, go back to the top and maybe hit refresh. Do you have a refresh button? Or
yeah,
just...
let's do a refresh.
Yeah.
See if that helps.
Because now 3 people are watching. Hi, Linda, Titus, and I are practicing in preparation for the 6 o'clock Facebook Live. It's about 10 minutes from now. And we're trying to work out the glitches that are inevitable. Hugh had a notification appear. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not...
Don't worry, it'll come up. You'll find it.
I hope so. So at the very top is just DES Action USA and 1.7K like this in New York, nonprofit organization. That's all I see. And then under that is a post from friends. So I see Susan Helmrich.
Sure. And then if you scroll down, do you see other pictures in Facebook Lives?
I see the DES Action USA was live August 27th.
Uh-huh.
And July 12th.
Okay, keep going down. Take your time.
I see the Bodyguard full movie, New Action full movie. I don't know why I see
Why
that.
is that on there? I don't know why that would be on there.
I have no idea.
We did not put that on there.
Let me try see all here.
Okay.
No, this is definitely not. Let me see. Wait a minute. Maybe this will do it. Ah, I've got you.
Okay.
You see me?
Not yet, but that's okay. So look in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Is there kind of a green box that looks like a little TV in TV symbol?
Not yet, but that's okay. Oh, there's a huge delay here, which is very distracting. So I'm going to mute that.
Okay, yeah, mute me. That's a good idea.
Conversation. Okay, so what am I looking for? A little green TV?
There should be.
No,
Okay, so do me a favor. Write a comment. You should be able at the bottom of the screen to just write a comment and just say hi.
Chat window.
Yeah, right. And just write hi.
No, there's no comment window.
There is. Keep looking. I don't actually know how that works because since I'm an admin person, I don't see the same screens that you screen. But Hugh was able to type.
Right.
So
Let
look.
me just see if I can zoom out a little bit and change the screen. No, that's not working either. Comments. Okay, I'll just.
Yep, that's it.
Do it. Let me see.
At least I
Over
think
to
so.
the right. Get notified when DES Action goes live next. Turn on. How about that?
Sure, do that. That's good. But in the meantime, we are live, so you want to get to the live screen, and at the bottom of the live screen, you should be able to make a comment.
There's no place to do that. Oh, I see. Here's a little comment. Oh, I'm glad I zoomed out. Let's see. It's telling me I can comment.
So,
It's not giving me a field to comment.
So
Crazy.
you're clicking on comment.
Yep, and it's doing nothing. Let's see. Let me try this comment over here. No.
Do you see a little bubble? A little bubble, like a cartoon comment bubble?
Yeah.
Did you touch that? Because that brings up comment on my screen.
Yeah. I just put hi.
Oh, good. Okay, it hasn't shown up yet. 1 second. Okay,
I
good.
couldn't find the screen to type in hi, but I see it now. It's way down the bottom.
Oh, perfect.
It's not the usual Facebook layout, so it's totally unfamiliar to me.
Okay, so now on your screen, I'm hoping that you will see. No, that's not right. I just did the wrong thing. That's come back. I just did. Oh, good. I just made my own mistake. Okay. You want to...
I see a living room. Is that yours?
A living... You did for a second, yes. It was the camera's going the wrong way.
Now I'm seeing you in front of a bookshelf again.
Yes, that's me. Yeah, I did reverse camera by mistake. Ugh, I'm not perfect. So, okay, this is the last step. On your screen should be a little bright green icon, I'm told, that looks like maybe a person with another person in a TV box in front of it, or maybe it's a box in a box. It should be green. And
Green.
It should be near the comment area, I think.
I've got something interfering here with my screen
Okay.
display.
So
Let me move this, see if it helps.
let me just...
No, I have just share and comment down there, and then the like, hearts, the happy face, all of that. I
Okay.
don't know why I'm not getting this. Let me see if I can get rid of this.
Don't get rid of anything. Okay.
Well, what's happening is to the right of your picture, I have this big white panel, which is the comment field. And then I wonder whether that's hiding something. Let me just move around.
Oh, can you minimize the comment field? Right. See,
Yeah, exactly, but I don't see how to do that.
okay, what it says on my screen is request. I've enabled the request to be in your broadcast. Allow viewers to send you a request to join your broadcast. You can add them at any point. Hugh Easton has already sent a request to be in the broadcast. And I think I see the same thing. I don't know who said that. Oh, hi, Kathy. Kathy, since you're commenting, are you seeing a green icon that would give you, that if you touch it, it says, I could invite you to be on the screen? I'm waiting for her to hear me and then to respond, so it'll take a moment. So, Linda, I think you just need to keep looking around because she says no. Oh, have I?
Oh, I don't see it either.
Hugh,
Really annoying.
Yeah, Hugh, you did it. You did request. How did you request to share the screen or to be invited? Because you've successfully done it, and I need Linda to successfully do it. Can you tell me what you did? I'm asking Hugh Easton. I definitely have it enabled to invite viewers. So any viewer could request to be on there. There's a person and a plus sign. Yes, Kathy Rogers says there's a person and a plus sign above where you can invite people.
So you need to use that to invite me then, right?
No, you need to ask to be invited.
A person and a plus sign. Oh, way up at the top.
Maybe it's way up at the top.
So now who do I invite?
You don't. Yes, exactly. Yes. DES action. DES action. come in without drinking water. And I'm also turning on my air conditioning because it's very...
Did that work or not?
Hold on 1 second. Let me check. A box popped up in the left-hand corner. Oh, it didn't do it. It didn't do it.
Yeah, because when I type in DES action,
yeah,
nothing. It says nothing found. DES action.
USA.
USA, is it 3 separate words?
I don't know. I don't think so, but it should. There aren't any other DES actions on. Hugh Easton said a box popped up in the left-hand bottom corner of my Facebook page.
Okay, I just lost you completely. So now I found you again.
Oh, good. That's good. Okay.
No, I just don't get it. I'm clicking on the person with the plus.
Okay.
But it says invite friends to watch. So who do I invite then?
No, you want to. You want to be invited. Allow viewers to send. You want to send a request. It says you need to send a request to join the broadcast.
I don't see how I would do that. It says DES action is live now.
Okay, click that. I mean, click everything you can. Just click it all.
Yeah, I tried that, but it just takes me back to your face page, which is not good.
Okay.
And yeah, I tried that, and I just don't understand.
You, the broadcaster, may need to invite her in. Kathy Rogers writes. Kathy, what I did was I enabled the request, the slider that says request to be in your broadcast, and under it it says allow viewers to send you a request to join your broadcast. You can add them at any point. And Hugh somehow did it. Hugh said Hugh said a box popped up in the left-hand corner of his Facebook page. Somebody gave me a thumbs up. Thank you, Christine. Okay, so Linda, I'm going to do another intro because now it's close to 6, and I just want people to know that I have Linda Titus on cell phone. This is Sue Robotti at DES Action, and we are trying to figure out the technology of getting her on screen. We had worked it out. It's worked with a couple of people with practices. I know. Linda, are you on a computer that has a camera?
Yep.
Okay, good. Sometimes people forget that not every computer has a camera. And if it doesn't have a camera, it won't let you be on screen, of course. It's smarter than we are.
Because I've done, video calls.
You have, okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to be obvious, but...
No, it's quite all right. I just, all I can do, the only thing I have here is the little person with the plus that says invite friends to watch. And that does not help.
Okay, have you, Linda, are you a follower on DES Action? Or...
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I liked the page and I clicked following.
Okay, so she's done the like and done the follow for anybody who's following in. People are making some suggestions, and that's why I'm asking you. Somebody said she was a follower, and that helped her. Kathy Rogers said that. I'm not quite sure what to do. To get you on. There's no way. All it does is allow me to add viewers to my broadcast if they have requested to join. And Hugh, you requested to join just because it popped up and gave you the option. Linda, you're scrolling up and down and looking on every part of the screen, I guess, of course.
Yep, and when I do the invite friends to watch and put in DES action, it says no results found. Which is pretty frustrating.
It is.
I mean,
Okay.
it's crazy, but...
I'm going to sit back and think about this for a minute. It's hard because I can't see your screen and you can't do this. Sorry, I'm trying to think of another option. And you said hi. You made a comment. Where's your comment?
Yep, I said hi.
Okay, I'm going to click your comment now. Reply. I'm going to reply back to you, just in case that makes a difference. This section you say hi. Well, that's very exciting. I don't know what that did, but... Oh, and Pam Cortina has also managed to click whatever button needed to be clicked, because she's on the list of viewers who can be invited to be on the broadcast. So Pam, did it just pop up on your screen, or how did you get on the list? Because we're having trouble getting Linda Titus on the list. Linda Titus, you just typed, "I can't access the live stream."
Right.
Are you seeing this live? But you're seeing me live, right?
I can see you, but I can't join it. I just said I can't join the live stream.
Yes, yes. Oh,
I see you.
Oh, I know. This is my grim face. Okay. Yeah, Pam's on. I know you're on. I just don't know how to get Linda Titus on. If anybody has a great idea on how to get Linda Titus on, please let me know. I've got her on cell phone here, and you can probably hear. Thank you, Kim Louise. She has it live. So we're getting a real audience here. Yeah, if anybody has an idea on how to get her, she does not see the icon on her screen that allows her to request to be invited on screen. And the two people who successfully, Kim Louise, she has clicked the like button. She's liked DES Action, and she's a follower of DES Action. But both the two people who have successfully gotten on the list to be invited on screen, both also have their picture in my upper right hand corner. So they are somehow a special something on here. No. Dawn asked, I see her, I guess Linda's comments on the live stream. Does that mean she's on? What we want to do is get Linda's face on the screen. Nobody wants to look at me. We want to see Linda Titus. And the way to do that for Facebook Live is I go on air and Linda Titus writes a comment like hi. I enable the request to be in broadcast, which is enabled, and viewers who request, I then have the option of including them on the broadcast on the screen. So there is a place where Linda is supposed to request to be invited. Unfortunately, the place she sees allows her to invite me, but doesn't have a place for her to ask to be invited. Is that right, Linda?
Yes.
I know I keep saying the same thing over and over again, Linda, and I'm sure that's annoying to you, but...
No. I mean, I just don't get it. I see the little person with the plus, but it just says invite friends to watch, and that's not what, I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
There should be something there so that I can participate. I just wondered, did you send me an invitation? How does that work?
No, there is, I simply open the field to allow people to ask to be invited, and then people have to ask to be invited. So I can't, you can't just get an invitation out of the blue from me.
Yeah.
I know, this is a conundrum. It's 6:08. Oh my gosh, I don't know how that happened.
Yep, this is really awful. I'm so sorry. I just don't know what's going on here.
I agree. Okay, let me think about this. One more second. I'm trying to... I looked on my phone on Facebook Live, and there's this picture of me on the phone of the video with me like this. It's really horrible. And I'm wondering if there's some way that I can do here. You may need to... No, you can hear. So people can hear you, Linda. I don't know what else to do but than to just interview you on the cell phone because people, everybody who's listening, who's watching, there are 10 people who are live now and 59 who have come in and out. Can you all hear, Linda, say your name and your title, and that way people can tell us if they hear you well.
Linda Titus. I'm a professor at Dartmouth Medical School.
Okay, can people please comment that they can hear Linda? Because I think you can.
Can they hear me? Do we know?
I can hear both of you. Kim Louise says yes, so people can hear you.
Okay, so then we can go ahead with, I'm on a different laptop now. I'm going to try that. Meanwhile, see what happens.
Okay, sure.
But go ahead and ask questions and I will do the best I can.
Okay, so 10 minutes late, we're going to start the Facebook Live. Once again, technology has defeated me. I'm so sorry. But let me just say, I'm Sue Robotti, and I'm the Executive Director of DES Action USA. This year is our 40th anniversary year. And it's a year where we've been celebrating the work that DES Action members have done so diligently over the 4 decades. The members before us, Pat Cody and too many to mention, have really paved the way and done all the lobbying and the research work to get us in the place where we are today, which is a reasonably well-funded research program and a good education system that's out there and a website that has a lot of information on it. We've been featuring brief bios and articles about the early activists for DES, and we've been featuring them in the early issues of The Voice. We've been featuring activists even if they were not necessarily DES Action members, but if they were important to the whole work that need to be done for DES. So if you have been reading The Voice issues and feel that we've missed somebody important, please quickly nominate somebody by sending us an email or nominate yourself. An email at info@desaction.org. In this anniversary year, we are also holding a Facebook Live every month. This gives us a chance to create a permanent oral record of so many topics. Early activists, of course, but also doctors and experts. Let me remind people that DES Action is a membership organization. Thank you. We put a lot of information on the website that is free to everybody, but we need your membership dollars to continue. So if you can, please come and be a member, and members do get some extra bonus materials. I'm particularly happy to be introducing Linda Titus today. Dr. Titus is one of the team of researchers for the National Cancer Institute DES Follow-up Study. It's a study that's been going on for, I'll ask Dr. Titus, but I think over about 30 years now. Linda Titus is a master's Ph.D. professor, Department of Epidemiology and Pediatrics at the Geisel, you say Geisel School of Medicine at Dartmouth. Linda and all the researchers have always been very, very generous with their time and their knowledge with DES Action, answering our questions. Linda was featured at a symposium that DES Action held last year to update people. And we very much appreciate her making herself available today. Thank you for renewing your membership when you have. Our topic today is forward-looking. Linda Titus has been focusing on third-generation effects of DES, and that's what we're going to be talking to Dr. Titus about today. And I've been jumping back and forth between calling you Dr. Titus and Linda. I hope you don't mind if I call you Linda for the rest of the interview.
Linda is much easier.
Thank you. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, first question is, how did you become interested in DES exposure and its impact?
Well, I really didn't know anything about DES exposure until I arrived at Dartmouth about 1991, and soon after, as a new assistant professor, the National Cancer Institute, the NCI, was looking for investigators who had already studied DES and still had the data so that they could continue to study the same group moving forward. And lucky for me, Dartmouth was one of a very few centers nationally who had an established cohort. And at Dartmouth, the cohort was the so-called grandmothers, who used to be called the mothers when we were studying 2 generations. These were the women who were given DES during pregnancy and their unexposed cohorts, and they had been followed for a time by one of the senior faculty in our group. And the opportunity for me to respond to the NCI's request was wonderful and introduced me to the entire area. And I had been trained as a cancer epidemiologist, so I was immediately interested. And of course, as time went on, I became more interested in the exposure, diethylstilbestrol itself.
Sure. But today you're really focusing on 3rd generation, I understand. Was that, how did you decide to do that?
Well, that was actually a decision that was made by the investigators at the National Cancer Institute, and Dr. Robert Hoover is the person who leads the effort there. Doctors Elizabeth Hatch and Rebecca Troisi have worked very closely with him over the years, and the decision was made to follow the 3rd generation because studies in the mice had shown tumors in what would be the 3rd generation of mice. So I was given the opportunity to lead this study, and I've been doing that on behalf of the National Cancer Institute now since 2001. So it's a privilege, it's an honor to do this.
We appreciate your commitment. So,
Thank you.
what are the general age ranges of 3rd generation now? I was actually thinking about it earlier. I'm thinking that the earliest DES daughters and sons from the 1940s must have great-grandchildren now. Are you looking at 4th generation too?
No, we aren't, and we really aren't able to do that. At this point, the 3rd generation women who we've identified in our cohorts are going to be ages 18. I say going to be because we're about to enroll a new group, 18 years of age and older. And the oldest women are in their 40s, but the vast majority of women in the study are in their 20s and 30s. So a lot of them haven't married yet and have not started their families yet. So we really can't look at, in fact, I'm looking at those data right now, something like 81% have never been married. So,
wow.
Yeah. So we really can't assess 4th generation in our group at this point. At some point, that will be addressed. It won't be by me. As an epidemiologist, I have grown accustomed to the fact that some of these studies that I've been invested in for decades will outlive me. But hopefully there will be funding to look at a 4th generation and continued funding for the studies of the 3rd generation, because that's in jeopardy.
The funding is in jeopardy?
Yes, it's not at all clear that this study will continue. So those of you who are active in getting your voices heard probably would want to deal with that through Congress or whatever mechanism might be effective. I think the original funding was created by a congressional mandate, if I remember right.
Yep.
But yeah, there's definitely, there are some questions in the air about whether the study will continue, and I hope it will. Even though I won't be one to work on it, probably.
No.
It will go on.
Well, wow. I'm so glad that came out. I had understood the congressional mandate would fund it in perpetuity or for a reasonably long period of time. I did not realize that it might run out or there might be some issue with it. And maybe we can talk more offline on strategies for that.
Sure, absolutely.
That is something that DES Action, that's one of the reasons the organization is here, to pay attention to that. And thank you for bringing that to our attention. Good.
You're welcome. And of course, the reason that we're worried about the 3rd generation and subsequent generations is that there's a possibility that DES exposure causes epigenetic changes. These aren't changes to the DNA or the genes themselves. They're not gene mutations, but they are changes in the way genes behave. And this has been shown in other studies with other contaminants or exposures. So we're concerned about it here, and again, because it has been seen in mice. So there's a possibility that there is an intergenerational or transgenerational effect of DES exposure. And because DES is essentially, we believe it's an endocrine disruptor, it's a model for other environmental exposures. It might have long-lasting impact on generation.
Yes, I guess one of the things we hear is that DES not only was the first endocrine disruptor, but was given in such high dosages that you can see kind of a clear, fortunately if you look for it, you can see a clear pattern of what it does in certain ways, as compared to the endocrine disruptors that permeate our lives now in very low levels.
Right. It's a 9-month exposure to DES in the recommended dose is maybe, I might not be remembering this quite right, but I think it's about 20 times the dose that you would receive annually if you were taking estrogens for menopausal systems. I mean, it's really a very high dose, and it was given at pregnancy, obviously. So it affected not just the mothers, but the offspring, and it is, to date, the only known human transplacental carcinogen, meaning that it is the only known chemical that is known to cross the placental barrier and produce cancers in the offspring.
Well, yay.
Yeah. A very important mistake that was made, a very tragic mistake.
It was just bad science. So, yes, bad. Okay, so I was going to ask if you could explain endocrine disruption, but I think that was pretty clear. Thank you. I always think of, and I didn't warn you about this question, I always think of the damage that DES causes. I think of it as going to matrilineal lineage. I think that's redundant, but going through the mother's line. So the mother to the daughter and sons, and then the daughter to the granddaughter and grandsons, and so forth. But are any of the damages? Do you have any way of knowing if the sons' exposure to DES would affect their offspring? Did I make that question clear?
You did to me, yes. So the question is, for anyone who might not have understood that, is whether the children of prenatally exposed sons might also have adverse health outcomes.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Is that right? Well, we don't know the answer to that because we have never studied the children of prenatally exposed men. And I'm not sure exactly why. I believe it's probably a lack of funding. And unfortunately, it may also be because the men are not quite as conscientious participants as women are, so that we probably would be somewhat concerned about biases in the data that we did collect, since we don't have the best representation of the men who were identified to participate in this study. We don't have a very strong percent of participation over time.
There's a comment that seems very timely. It was just posted by Joel Francis. I'm a DES son, transgender woman, and my 37-year-old son has testicular cysts requiring surgery. I'm assuming this may be a third generational effect, ? And I'm going to guess you say we have no way of knowing.
Unfortunately, we have no way of knowing. That's right. It could be a coincidence or it could be a direct effect, but because we don't have studies, I don't think anyone does actually, of the third generation, the grandsons essentially. I'm afraid we can't answer the question.
Okay. Is there a DNA marker or a blood test that's been identified for DES exposure? Like,
No, not that I know of. I think that sometimes exposure can be inferred from the conditions. I think there are certain hallmark signs of DES exposure, like the T-shaped uterus or adenocarcinoma of the vagina or cervix at a very young age. But we really don't like to work backwards like that because we can create a false association by assuming exposure when we don't know it.
Yes, and of course, assuming is what got us all into this big trouble. Some of the research with DES, there are too many assumptions made in the original research when it got approved to be used.
Probably,
Yeah. So, okay. What is the prognosis or expectations for the third generation to be able to conceive and have children if they wish to?
Well, this is something that we haven't been able to address
too soon
thoroughly because of the young age of the third generation women participating in our study. And as I mentioned, most have not married, most have never been pregnant. But based on the mouse model, we have a little bit of encouragement. The mouse studies, as you probably know, have been remarkably capable of imitating what happens in the human situation in the setting of DES. That's not always true. I mean, I'm sure you've read mouse studies that you think, yeah, sure, that's not going to happen in people. But in the setting of DES, the women who were given DES during pregnancy did have a higher risk of breast cancer. The same thing was seen in the mice. And of course, the vaginal tumors were also seen in mice in the prenatally exposed. In the third generation mice, there are tumors seen, which is unfortunate, not what we want to hear. But infertility, which has been seen in the prenatally exposed mice, was not seen in the third generation mice. So we're hoping that that will not be one of the outcomes associated or seen in third generation women.
Can you tell me what else you've seen in the mice?
I haven't done those studies, but if I remember correctly, there were tumors in the reproductive system of the third generation mice. I don't believe they were specified as malignant tumors, but there were growths.
Okay. Good. Great. Thank you. What have the NCI? I'm sorry. What have the NCI studies shown about any DES-related health effects to date in the grandsons? And here, I just want to. I'm interrupting your question with a comment. I apologize, but I do want to encourage anybody who's watching right now to, if you have questions and want further information on any of this, what I think we're about to cover, a lot of this is available on the website at DES Action USA. Obviously, we're probably going to take it a little further today, but you can follow up and find a lot of this information on the website. Anyway, I interrupted you, and I'm going to interrupt you one more time, and then I'll repeat the question, Linda. Do you want to look on the screen and see, has anything popped up on your screen that you might be able to push or be able to get on screen with me?
My screen looks the same. I'll refresh it.
Good idea. And while it
well, that was your idea.
Wow.
It says watch me now. It's where it used to say, I see our friend Carrie there. Where it used to say invite a friend, it says watching now, and I see Carrie is on board. But now when I click on that, I just get invite friends to watch again, so that's not going to help us.
Okay, just for anybody who's tuned in after we started, I'm interviewing Linda Titus, who is a professor at Dartmouth and is a National Cancer Institute researcher on the DES Follow-up Study, which is a multi-generational, multi-decade study on DES exposure and its effects on people. So the question that I interrupted, the most recent question, I'll start again, is what has the NCI study shown about any DES-related health effects on grandsons?
Well, so far we haven't seen much of anything. We did publish one paper suggesting a modest increase in risk of hypospadias. That association has been seen in other studies conducted in the Netherlands and in France. They saw very strong associations.
Good.
But for whatever reason, our data don't support that, and some other studies don't either. We have not seen an increase in cancer risk in the grandsons, but keep in mind that our cohort is young and small, so that a cancer would have to be it would have to be a very high-risk situation in order for it to show up in our study. We don't, as you know, follow the grandsons in their own separate study, as we do with the granddaughters, but we do ask the second-generation women, the prenatally exposed women, about cancers in their children. So we can follow them indirectly through their mothers. And so far, we haven't seen anything of concern.
Mm-hmm. Good. Good. And
Good news for change.
and what do we know about the DES-related health effects for the granddaughters?
Well, we actually have a report that's probably going to be published soon in Reproductive Toxicology. We just got the reviews back today, and we need to respond to the reviewers' comments and criticisms, and hopefully that will be out. I'm not at liberty to discuss the results in that article until it's published, but in the past, we did see menstrual irregularity at a higher prevalence in the DES-exposed granddaughters than the unexposed granddaughters. And they also were older when their menstrual periods finally regularized. And by regularized, we mean, can you predict within 5 days when your next period will start? There was a suggestion of infertility in the older age groups, but it was certainly inconclusive and not something that I would report as a real finding. The most disturbing thing we saw was an excess of ovarian cancers in the exposed DES granddaughters. So we had two actually were reported by women who were participating in the third generation study themselves. The third case was reported by the mother of another woman who was not participating in the third generation study. These are all very young women. None of them were even 30 years old yet. And this is obviously just a horrific finding. But because the numbers are so small, we can't be certain that it's a real association. It could be a fluke. And however unlikely that may sound, we did see what was probably a fluke in the unexposed. We saw more leukemia cases than you would expect in the general population in the unexposed. So these weird random findings do exist, and in all honesty, I hope that's what we have with the ovarian cancer in the DES granddaughters, but further follow-up will be needed to answer that question. And it's also possible that we will never be able to answer that question.
We have a question from Christina Brown. What about endometriosis and third generation DES?
We didn't see that. Not to say that it isn't possible, but we haven't seen strong evidence of that. But we're keeping an eye on it. It's definitely on our watch list.
Okay. And somebody...
As are reproductive outcomes, adverse reproductive outcomes. We're also keeping a very close eye on those and on infertility as well as cancers and certain medical conditions such as endometriosis.
Good. We have another question, but I actually want, Carrie, if you're on, I think you know this off the top of your head. Joelle Francis asks, could you ask Linda if she had said the typical dosage of DES was 20 times the normal estrogen dose today? I'm trying to determine typical DES dose versus HRT dose today. Carrie, Linda, first, let me say, Linda said that she was not certain of that number. Is that true? Right?
That's what I said. Yeah. I could calculate it. It would take a while. I can tell you this off the top of my head. Someone also have to pull out the calculator. The recommended cumulative dose over the 9-month pregnancy, or more like 8 months, because obviously the DES wasn't started until maybe 8 weeks after conception at the earliest. But that was 12 grams. And I know that the first time I presented a DES talk at Dartmouth, one of the pharmacologists raised his hand and said, I think you have a mistake in your slide. I think you meant 12 milligrams. And I said, no, I meant 12 grams. So that gave me right then and there some insight into how crazy this number was. So I did go back and compare it to hormone replacement therapy doses at that time. And that was many years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago, and I don't remember the result. But if you look up online to see what the daily dose is of hormone replacement therapy, and then multiply it by the number of days over 8 months, which would be approximately, 240, you'll see what you have in terms of milligrams, and then you can convert to grams and compare. If I remember right, it's a fraction of a gram. And the hormone replacement therapy regimen taken over 8 or 9 months would be a fraction of a gram cumulatively if you added up all the doses over that time period, which compares pretty badly to 12 grams of DES over the same time frame.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was helpful. And Carrie, Carrie Christensen, if you're listening and want to type in a comment, that would be great. Thank you. I'm kind of scrolling just to see if there are any questions. There's a lot of people sharing in the comment area. Thank you. So there's so many interesting family stories here.
There's so many stories. I mean, the DES story is so unique, and it's I think I've said to you before, it includes so many personal stories. It's quite overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. It is very overwhelming. Karen Kalishman is our community manager who answers the 800 number and answers the emails, and she's a DES daughter, and she's so empathetic, and she's great, but it becomes very overwhelming for her. She normally is participating on here. She's answering questions and comments, but it's the Jewish holiday, and I meant to open by apologizing that we scheduled this on a high holy day. I made a mistake. But we are recording this, and this will be available for anybody who is not able to watch it because of religious observances. I'm sorry, bad English. Anyway, a question was risen about the nurses study. Came out recently. They looked at ADHD findings in the children of those nurses, in the grandchildren of those nurses, who were, let me say this correctly. The nurses study, there was this, I'm sorry, it's late, I'm tired. Based on the nurses study, they looked at ADHD findings in the children of those nurses who were exposed to DES in utero. And there seemed to be a much higher amount of DES, maybe 20% higher ADHD among those grandchildren. And I wondered if you could comment on that.
I have to confess I have not read the entire article carefully, but most of the studies, or most of the analyses and papers that come out of the Nurses' Health Study do not have validated DES exposure. Mm-hmm. In other words, we really don't know who was exposed to DES and who wasn't. And this gets back into that circular thing that I was just mentioning a few minutes ago when I said we don't like to work backwards. We don't like to see a condition and then assume DES exposure. Because what happens sometimes is people have textbook DES conditions and then assume they're exposed. In fact, the French study is basically includes people in exactly that situation. They were recruited because they had a DES-related problem. Didn't really know whether they were exposed, but assumed they were, and it creates a false association. In this setting, there's no real reason that it would create a false association, because if you don't know whether you were exposed, it could be that you're underestimating an association, because some people who are exposed will say they aren't, and some people who aren't will say they are. So it weakens whatever association might really be there underneath all of that error.
Yes. Yeah.
But in this setting, I just wonder, they have ADHD that is physician reported or physician verified, which is pretty strong. And that makes me think maybe there is a little socioeconomic bias in here, because we do know that people who were DES exposed tend to be a little bit more educated, and it occurs to me they might be a little more likely to get a child into the physician's office. And than someone who has a little less education or is basically struggling with more profound life problems than whether their child has ADHD. So I guess I'm a little skeptical of this finding, and there isn't really good evidence that there are neurologic effects in the second generation, that people who are prenatally exposed. And it doesn't necessarily follow that you would see the same kinds of outcomes in the prenatally exposed and the third generation or the grandchildren, because we're not talking about genes, or inheritance in that respect. We're talking about maybe epigenetic changes. But still, at the same time, I just think, why did you even study that? And what was the motivation for studying that? So I'm a little skeptical of it, but we'll have to see what other cohorts and analyses produce over time.
Which makes me want to circle back to another question. The question I already asked you, if there's a DNA marker or blood test that's been identified for DES exposure. It's very frustrating. I'm one of those people that I don't have any proof that I was exposed to DES except for the damages of my infertility and my mother's very clear recollections of exactly what she was given at what point and various times. But is there any reason to hope, or do you have, based on your much broader scientific knowledge, much more in-depth scientific knowledge, is there any way we could ever hope to find some sort of marker to prove that somebody was exposed to DES?
I think it's unlikely because so far, at least, there have been no genetic changes that have been identified associated with exposure. If DES actually changed something in the DNA, then I think we'd be more likely to develop a marker. But as far as I know, there is nothing in the works in that area.
Okay, and so Christina Brown asked on the same topic, can someone go to a geneticist and find answers on how DES has changed the individual? And I'm guessing from your answer that's a no.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, and what we think is there are epigenetic changes in the way the genes operate, but not in the genes themselves.
So it's in the way the genes operate, but not in the genes themselves. And
right, yeah, and I'm not a laboratory scientist, so this is really a bit out of my area, but it doesn't impact the DNA sequence. Is the best way I can say that.
Right, so that's not gonna, okay, good. Just a couple more questions. So I've only got a couple more questions, so anybody who has a question for Linda, for Dr. Titus, please type it in quickly. In the meantime, I'll ask my last couple of questions. This is actually more of an anecdote. Somebody just called the 800 number for DES action the other day. I'm just going to read it to you. The woman's a DES daughter. She called asking about her daughter's male fetus and wondered if DES research had extended to fourth generation because that fourth generation baby has been diagnosed in utero with spina bifida. And the doctors also suspect trisomy 21.1. I have no idea what trisomy 21.1 is.
I think it's a chromosomal anomaly, but I don't know anything about it. So far as we know, DES, again, is not associated with any chromosomal or genetic anomalies. But unfortunately, we just can't answer any questions about the fourth generation. We're not there yet. As I mentioned before, the third generation, or so-called granddaughters, mostly have not started their families yet. And it'll be a while. I mean, we can't necessarily expect, if there's going to be an impact, and we hope there isn't, we wouldn't necessarily expect to see it in the very early years. It could very well be something that occurs later on when the fourth generation begins starting their families.
Sure. Litza Veronis writes a comment. I took part in several studies at the DES Center of the Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania that indicated DES daughters had higher levels of cathepsin B-1. Apologies for my pronunciation. It's cathepsin, C-A-T-H.
Yeah, I don't actually know about that, but when we do see differences in our studies that are looking at hormones or hormone profiles, they're really small differences. And unfortunately, it's not something that you could use to identify someone who was exposed to DES, as far as I know.
Okay, good. My last question is, how should DES third generation approach their healthcare, and what should they tell or ask their providers?
Well, that's a really great question and something that is so important, I think. I think third generation individuals need to inform their providers about their parents' exposure and also let them know that there's a possibility that DES effects can be passed down from one generation to another. And they may even have to use the word through epigenetic effects, because most practitioners don't know about this. In fact, I am going to, here's a big revelation. I actually turned 70 this summer.
Oh, and congratulations.
Well, thank you. I went to the healthcare clinic a couple of months ago for my routine checkup, and for the first time in my life, I was asked whether I had been DES exposed. So I think that most practitioners do not have this exposure on their radar screen. And unfortunately, that's probably true for the prenatally exposed women and men as well. So I think you would serve yourself well to at least let them know. It might increase their level of vigilance and surveillance. But as far as what to do about screening and surveillance, probably just follow the recommended guidelines for everyone else, because so far we just don't know enough to say, gee, you need to be screened more, you need to have mammography more often, or have pap tests more often. We just don't know. So follow the guidelines and follow your intuitions too. Just make yourself comfortable with your health care. We all need to be assertive about our health care.
We do.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, I want to read out a comment I just found that Carrie put up a few minutes ago, but I missed it until now. Pat Cody said in her book that DES dosage equaled 500,000 doses of today's low-dose birth control pills. Linda's example of the gram total is very similar to Pat's. So, just for those...
How about that? Yeah, and I haven't compared it to the dose of oral contraceptives, so I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Did you know Pat Cody?
I never did.
I was lucky enough. She used to come to our DES meetings annually. She was a really wonderful person.
Well,
We miss her.
I've had the pleasure of knowing her daughter, Martha, and a lot of the women who were on the board of DES Action a few years ago. But no, you're lucky. Good for you.
Yes, I know. I really am. I'm lucky to have met all of you, actually.
So before I let you go, is there anything that I neglected to ask you, or some message you want to leave us with?
Oh, I could tell you a lot about DES. But, getting back to that little comment I made about being assertive about your health care, it's reminding me of the story about how the problems caused by DES was first uncovered. And maybe your other speakers have talked about this. But if they haven't, or even if they have, it's worth repeating, because what happened was one of the mothers who had taken DES during her pregnancy had a daughter with this terrible clear cell adenocarcinoma of the vagina, and had taken her into a couple of physicians in the Boston area. I believe it was a gynecologist and an oncologist, and told them, I think this has something to do with that pill I took when I was pregnant, and they both basically blew her off. But she was not one to be blown off. And she was convinced. She knew this was a very rare tumor, which it was, and even rarer in a very young girl. And she persisted and basically hammered those physicians. And finally, one of them caved in and decided this needed to be looked into. And it was because of that that seminal study took place, the one with the... I think it was just 7 or 8 cases of CCA.
Yes.
And yeah, and 32 controls. And that was the study that basically blew the cover off this drug and showed how dangerous it could be. So I think we all need to learn from that. And one of the lessons we need to learn is that you're not really always safe taking the prescription drug that was prescribed to you. So make sure you understand what you're taking and be persistent in your own care and in receiving the best health care you can find.
Yes, I'm going to do a shameless plug now for our sister website, Med Shadow, med like medical, and shadow like what follows you. I started Med Shadow Foundation 5 years ago to educate people on the side effects of medicines, and I started because I'm a DES daughter, and DES action already existed, but I'm very worried about the high level of medicine and drug usage, over the counter and prescription, and I spend a lot of my time just saying to people, please consider the side effects, the unintended consequences, the adverse events, and the long-term effects of the medicines you're taking, and look for alternatives. In many, many cases, people taking statins or even diabetes drugs can reverse, and not everyone, but many people can stop taking the medicines if you work at it. So if that interests you, anybody online, please feel free to go look at medshadow.org. But always, always check DES action. We do our best to keep the information up to date and constant. And become a member. Support the organization. Linda, thank you so much for your time and all your information. Don Hargrove just said, thank you so much for this program. I'm forwarding it to my daughter, who's a third generation, and I hope everybody does the same. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.